Holy one-track mind. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 16. We're back once again talking LCS in all capacities, which includes roster rumors and previewing how MSI might unfold for the evil geniuses, the NA Hopes. My name is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left, as always, my fellow hosts, back from our 2-week break since Houston, Nox War and Curly Double Q. Nox, it's been 2 weeks. Are you feeling a little rusty on the whole podcast front, or are you ready to get back into it?
Yeah, I mean, we were going through our pre-show checks, and I was like, oh yeah, we record outside of the podcast. Oh yeah, I need to have a webcam. Oh yeah, it took a second, but we're getting back in the groove. It feels good to be back though.
Awesome. Curly, it's real weird, I gotta say, before I was about to say Matt, because now after Houston, I'm just used to saying, like,
my real name.
Yeah, turbo doxed, you know.
Nobody's supposed to know.
I now, like, I just got so used to saying, like, y'all's, you know, real names when we were hanging out together, and so now I'm just like, oh, Curly, Nox, oh wait, that's not their names. So my mind's, like, playing tricks on me. But Curly, for the sake of the universe, we're going to keep it with Curly, Nox, and Sandy tonight. How have the last 2 weeks since Houston been for you?
I only called you guys Sandy and Curly down in Houston.
You got away with one there.
Yeah. But, no, 2 weeks for me, it's just been... I don't know, it's been weird, because, like, we didn't have the podcast at all, so it was just, like, the week after, like, it was just nothing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I've been waiting for this moment, but like, I'm really excited to be back on it, and then especially to be talking MSI, and then see how NA pans out over the next couple of weeks in the VODs, because dear Lord, those times for all the games, bro.
Yeah. There's a lot. This week, I don't know how much I'll be able to watch, because I'll be asleep definitely during a large portion of the games, so I will have to, you know, catch up on VODs, like, as soon as I wake up, basically, you know, that whole 2x speed on esports, eventvods.com, and avoid all spoilers, but I'm definitely looking forward to a lot of things.
Esports website.
Yeah. But I think there's a lot to talk about tonight, so we'll be hitting on some LCS roster changes, some confirmed, I believe, and others still technically rumors, quote-unquote. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we'll be discussing MSI, which does start tomorrow at, I believe, 4 a.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, or 1 a.m. Pacific, sorry. So that's an early morning or a late night for folks, depending on where you are in the country. And then I've got a surprise bait or great segment based on some stuff I was listening to, the Dive-phoria episode that came out today, or yesterday, I'm not sure when it was. And they had one of the balance designers on the show, and he said there were a couple champions that he would be interested in seeing played at MSI. So I want to throw it to you guys for one of them in particular.
Okay.
Right.
So, that is the show tonight. I think we're going to get started with some LCS roster rumors. So, here's the big one. I mean, let's just start with, I think, what a lot of people have already been discussing. Cloud9. Lots of rumored stuff going on. Lots of real stuff going on. But the big thing right now, what's been most recently reported, is... Cloud9 did release Summit, Winsome, and Isles, so both of their supports and their top lane are gone. And then the current reporting has Fudge going back to top lane, Jensen re-signing with C9 at mid, Berserker staying, and then Sven role-swapping to support.
That'll be interesting.
And I'm interested in this because... one, it's a huge departure from what the initial roster was supposed to be, right? That whole Korea 9 thing. There's a lot of storylines here. You know, Sven's return, but in a new role. Jensen back after a split off. Well, how will he look? Fudge going back to top lane. But yeah, I mean, Curly, I want to see how you're feeling. And on this particular point, the issue that I've seen some discussion about and that I've thought about a lot is, okay, you're basically rebuilding almost the entire roster in like it's almost a full restructuring in many ways. And all these other teams have already had a split to work on their synergy. You have 100 Thieves, EG, TL, FlyQuest, we've all had a whole split to work on synergy, and we're not making changes. Cloud9, complete revamp. And how do you feel that's going to affect them heading into summer season?
I think their first couple of weeks are either going to be really rocky or surprisingly well. It's like that's all it is, because the one thing that I think is definitely saving them is sending Fudge back to top. It's a role he developed well in last year, and then Jensen has repeatedly been a top 3 mid laner, even despite Nox's and my personal opinion about his gameplay. He's been up there. And so I guess the biggest question mark would be Sven in the support role and how that will work out. And then just how the general team synergy, like you said, would end up being. Now, because most of the players still have some history together, I do think there's a good chance that they'll be able to mesh pretty well. But again, I do think it's going to be a little bit of a potentially slow start. I'd put them in a top 5 team regardless, because these are all solid, mechanically good players. And so unless they're just really, really bad at getting along with each other, which again, considering a good amount of them have still played together before, I don't expect that. They should be making playoffs and be at the very least in quarterfinals if they play up to performance, especially under Max Waldo's guide,
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's unfortunate because I would have loved to see Summit continue to play, because I think it was just 2 bad weeks and C9 decided that's enough.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. I do think the mechanical talent is certainly there. I'm just hesitant to be they're going to come in and absolutely clean stomp Nox. I mean, Jensen back. What are your thoughts on the return of Incarnation himself to the mid lane for LCS?
See if he's actually Incarnation or if he's like Jensen from the past couple of years. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it is a smart pickup for Cloud9. He's probably the best resident mid laner that is currently actively available on the free market.
Yeah.
So I can't fault him in any way. Do I think that there are better currently signed mid laners than Jensen? Absolutely. But at the same time, you're in the middle of a season, not just a split, and you're not really going to have the ability to just buy out someone, right? So Cloud9 did what they have to do. I don't think Jensen is going to be the piece that suddenly gets Cloud9 into the top 3. I think more than anything, eyes should be on Sven. Sven is the one piece of this team that is going to make or break how this Cloud9 team looks, I think. If he can adapt to the support role, if he can properly shot call, if you can make sure his Berserker is actually getting lane priority and so on and so forth. If he's even better than Winsome, which is not asking much, let's be honest, because Winsome is probably the 7th best, maybe even lower support in the LCS. Cloud9 squad can be very dangerous, I think.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's just all eyes on Sven. If Sven looks good, I'm actually very scared of this Cloud9 squad.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I think they'll still, assuming it's top 8 to make playoffs, I think they'll absolutely be a playoff team. Definitely a top 6. I think.
I don't even think they'll drop below top 5.
Yeah, I think they're top half. I don't know if they'll be top 4, but we'll have to see how that goes. It really depends. Yeah, I think on how Jensen looks, if he's rusty, after taking a split off. Maybe just how things turn out. All right. The other perennial big team, although not so much in recent years, but TSM, the the China experiment kind of continues on. Like, I'm not actually sure if they've moved off of it or not. But right now, and correct me if there's any that I have missed, but it is the big rumor is Maple to TSM.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was actually confirmed or not, but it was.
No, it is. I'm looking at the global contract database right now.
Okay, yeah. So Maple to TSM from, I believe that was, Anyone's Legend over in LPL. And then it's still Huni and Spica and Tactical. But what I hadn't seen confirmed, there were rumors that a player known as Mia or MIA, I mean, the jokes just write themselves, TSM MIA, are there. But it's not necessarily certain whether or not he will be going to TSM Academy or TSM, and where Shenyi is going.
Well, I can tell you he is listed under the global contract database as a support.
Yeah.
However, it does say he's like inactive. It's got that nice little yellow highlight. So
right.
Unclear as to whether or not they're going to put it up there.
Yeah. Oh, this is. Oh, interesting. I just saw a couple other things. Apparently, Smithy is the TSM Academy head coach now.
Yep.
How did I miss these things?
That came out about a week ago, and it wasn't like super talked about. I think it was because there was a bunch of other news that also dropped that day, and so that kind of flew under the radar a little bit.
Yep.
But for me, that's actually very exciting. And
for sure.
I was actually doing some research on him, but he's actually been coaching in collegiate. He's just not been listed as an actual official coach.
Yeah.
I forget what the college is, but he's actually been coaching with X Specials College, the one that X Special coaches in. So I thought that was actually kind of cool. So he's not been just like doing nothing all his time, like I thought he'd been doing. He's actually been coaching the whole time, and apparently TSM Academy, good for him, dude. Or TMB says the Harrisburg Storm or the Harrisburg College, which good for him, dude. I'm actually very happy for Smithy, and I'm excited to see what he can do. Especially, hopefully, he can help out Hyper because I think far and away he was probably the least best looking, if I'm trying to be positive about it, jungler in Academy. So hopefully the original jungle prodigy himself can maybe boost him up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Academy, though, from what I can tell by the global contract database, they are also bringing in Soul for the top lane down there, I believe.
Yeah, and Soul...
Yes, and originally known as Anime Girl.
Anime Girl from...
Oh, right, Anime Girl.
Immortals AOE. So now
Big
up
rip.
to
You
top.
get promoted and you have to change your name.
Well, yeah, dropped... so they dropped Viper and Kaiduo as well. So yeah, Anime Girl, now known as Soul, is the new Academy top laner. And then, I think it still remains to be seen if it's going to be Mia or Shenyi for the TSM support position. So I'm sure we'll get some more information there eventually. I mean, I'm not particularly excited about Maple. I mean, he had some really good years in the PCS. He was on PSG Talon for a long time, but was not particularly inspiring on Anyone's Legend. I think that team got like 13th.
They were like near dead last. They
were
not good.
Yeah, it was just not a super exciting. 13th, 5-11 in LPL Spring. So not the most exciting results, but he's still a very strong player mechanically. I'll just be interested to see, what this really changes for TSM, if anything. Like, does it boost them from a bottom 2 team to a, top
bottom
6
team?
To a bottom 3 team or a top 6 team? Maybe. I just don't know if this is going to be a, wow, TSM is so much better now, guys, kind of move.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's going to work out at all.
Yeah.
It's not that I have a lack of faith in Maple. Actually, I believe he might have a good chance to flex pretty well here. It's just similar to the fact that like how CLG turned out last season, like any change they made just was really long-term ineffective. And so it's just TSM right now is going through it. And if they're going to achieve success, I really don't expect it to happen until next season when they kind of pull the reset button overall in a lot of aspects.
Hey Curly, do you still have the GCD pulled up?
I do. What's up? What do you need?
How long is Maple's contract for?
Maple's contract is until November 21st, 2023.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty
they're signing him for a
standard
year and a
contract.
half, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They probably can't sign him for a half a split. That's just not going to happen. So they'll keep him around for at least a minimum a year. But if they need to reevaluate and pick up a different mid laner, like it's not that big of a contract chunk on TSM. So that's probably the smart call.
Yeah. No, and I think it makes sense. So that is the TSM moves. All right, and then there are a couple other smaller ones, and I'll just kind of rattle these off. So Fake God dropped by Dignitas, and I don't think there's been
There's not a replacement in the GCD.
Right, and there's no rumors either. Xerxes left Immortals and signed with Astralis. Destiny left Immortals and is now the Cloud9 Academy support. And that is basically it. And then Cloud9 signed a Filipino jungler for their academy team.
Shaden.
Yeah,
he is. This guy is cracked.
Is he?
He's supposed to be really, really freaking good. He's going to be very scary in academy. He's coming to split.
Don't forget that Ignar is on Immortals and now as the support though too. So we got 2024.
Well, yeah, rumored at least, and then no, that's confirmed. Actually, yeah. Ignar, sorry. Over to Immortals, and then the other rumor there is lost from Golden Guardians to Immortals, and no details on who the Immortals jungler will be. Maybe they promote Chad, maybe not.
Seriously, just going to play from both regions.
Maybe it'll be Dardoch. Who knows? But at least for the Immortals changes, I don't really know how much that will affect things. I don't think Revenge is very good. I don't think, even if they did bring in Dardoch for some reason, I don't think there's really anyone they could get to play jungle that would be good. Maybe like Svenskeren.
Svenskeren's with C9.
Yes, but he's not playing, and so the rumor is that the contract buyout is either none at all or very cheap.
Yeah.
It's one of those two. So for Immortal's sake, I would say Svenskeren is a viable option. You may have to pay a little bit of money, but if you're trying to get out of that 9th, 10th spot, you better be shelling out some money if I'm being honest.
Hear me out. Immortals NXI?
I mean, it's certainly possible. NXI does seem to be looking to get back into things. So
I've been watching his stream, and he's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
And then, I mean, the only other thing here is Lost. Because he joins Immortals, leaves Golden Guardians. That'll be interesting to see. Who they get to replace him. I don't know who their academy bot laner is.
It is Violet.
Yes, Violet is.
Okay.
GG also still has Stixay on their contract.
Yeah, I mean that could be certainly a replacement. I don't know if it'll be, if that's the kind of route they want to go. But
just to throw out the rumor, because it is an actual rumor, because it was from LEC Wulu. I don't think it's a high percentage chance of this happening, but there were actual legitimate rumors that Golden Guardians was looking to buy out Johnson from FlyQuest.
Oh, I did not see that.
It was on our subreddit, and I commented on it, basically saying I could see it happening. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, but I also don't think it's going to happen.
I would be surprised if that happens.
Yeah, because I mean they're getting rid of Lost, right? And I think Johnson. I mean, TMB is probably going to cringe here in a second, but I think Johnson's more than good enough to carry that Golden Guardian squad. And I think paired with Ole, that can be a very scary bot lane duo. Yeah. Especially because, I mean, if we're being honest, I love Johnson. I think he's actually had a very successful split, but the narratives and the ideas behind bringing back Johnson and Aphromoo together like they haven't really done all that much in my opinion together as a split. Like individually, they've like Johnson's looked okay. Aframu's had his moments, I guess. Has been more beneficial in terms of shot calling. But I think I could see a world where Golden Guardians, you pick up Johnson and you get rid of Lost, which they're already doing. I think that it's actually a significant boost to the team. So I see a world where that rumor is legitimate, but I don't think it's worth it for Golden Guardians. And I think it would have to be another Licorice situation where Golden Guardians is shelling out like an unbelievably big number, and Nick's going like, all right, well, I can't refuse you a second time with this, right? Like, I'm patting my pockets here. It's just too good to say no. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's still a business, kind of, right?
Watch Golden Guardians just slowly acquire FlyQuest 2020, just over time.
That'd be an
just with
interesting thing to see happen.
just with a Blaze Olive and their
own NA mid laner.
I mean, Licorice, Pride Stalker, ABO. Johnson,
jungler.
Yeah, that'd be something else.
Yeah.
Any other roster rumors from LCS that we want to hit? I mean, there's a couple EU ones that we could hit that are definitely interesting.
We're an NA podcast. Budget.
I don't think there's any other things. Curly, how do you feel about Niski going to Mad Lions?
I think they might actually make playoffs.
I mean, I think they would make playoffs if that were the case.
I think they'd make playoffs too. Agreed.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like nothing. Not talking bad about Reeker. It's just Niski is a solid. I will make playoffs player. You know. I'm disappointed though because I don't like. I think giving up on rookies after one split, or like in the case of Admian after 2 weeks, is like just a bad thing. It's like if you're gonna take the chance, give them the actual chance.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And there's definitely a lot of interesting EU rumors as well.
I'll say this: I liked the promo videos around it, though. It was hilarious.
Yes. I mean, here's the thing. Here's one thing I will say about Astralis. They finally dropped Promiscu. And I think this team might have a shot now. I mean, they basically rebuilt this team because it's like they dropped their top, their support, and their jungle. And they've got Chachi, Xerxes, Zhonghoon. I think they're still running.
That is Zhonghoon's such a weird.
They don't have a support listed in their GCD right now.
Well, it's a confirmed change at least. So, and they've still got Dejor and Kabi. Like, I actually feel like this team is legitimately better now. So
yeah, they get 9th place.
Yeah. I mean. So we'll see how that goes, but
make all the roster changes you want, Astralis. I just think the way you run your League of Legends team is the fundamental problem. But...
yeah, I think it's a fundamentally broken system. Okay, that is all the interesting roster rumors, kind of from LCS and LEC. All right, before we get into the MSI preview, this is technically a bit of an MSI preview because it's about the meta. And, gentlemen, here is this week's Bait or Great.
Oh, boy.
All right, lay it on me. Or us, not just me.
Rengar, Bait or Great?
Is it top?
I think it would be top, from what I have seen. Some rumors around Rengar top being a thing. I believe it was on the Dyphoria episode today that Froxen, one of the balance guys, talked about Rengar top. So I just want to know, from your perspective, Rengar top, how are we feeling about it?
If
In
it's
the context of MSI patch?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take this in stride, especially because I was playing some top today. I didn't run into it, but if you're picking it blue side without banning Poppy, I'm going to call it bait. Because Poppy is a very easy counter to Rengar, because especially with her W buffs, where it's a whole 4 seconds sooner. So I would say if you're picking it blue side, it's going to be bait if you don't ban Poppy. But if you're picking it red side, that means you're countering it for something, or it's the cheese pick. In which case you have full confidence. I'm going to call it great.
Okay. Curly going with great. Nox, how are you feeling about it?
I'm going to say for a majority of teams at MSI, with the exception of probably Vietnam, it's going to be bait.
Mm.
I don't think it's going to be. Not to say the teams won't pick it, but I don't think it'll look good unless it's in the hands of Vietnam, personally.
Yeah. No, I think Broken Blade could absolutely pop off with Rengar. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I could see it, but I don't think G2 plays. I don't think G2 would be able to play all that well around it, personally.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they pulled out some weird Vagar support stuff before that worked for them.
Yeah, but that's bot lane, though. And don't get me wrong, I understand that Broken Blade's very aggressive and very, good top laner, but I just don't think the actual champion of Rengar is good for G2 as a whole.
G2 seemed to like relegating Broken Blade to picks like Scion for a lot of the playoffs, and hey, it worked. So I don't know if I see G2 playing a lot of Rengar. Personally, for me, I do think this is bait. I think you saw a lot of North American tops in playoffs, going for more of the scaling tanks, that kind of play style. I think outside of some of the minor regions, you're not going to have a lot of those solo carry play styles from the top lane. You're going to have a little bit more of the team play focused, scale up, engage kind of top laners. So I just don't foresee it being super relevant to the meta. I do think it could be fun, and I would be excited to see it happen. But I just don't. Yeah, I don't know if I personally see it.
Here's the thing, though. I think if there's any time we're going to see it, it's going to be the group stage, because those are best of ones. And so when it comes to the best of one, well, and maybe even part of the Rumble stage, I don't think it's going to come out during the knockout at all. But those are the two stages it would come, because it's like best of one meta, from what I've seen over the past couple of years, is like different than playoffs meta. It's like you really didn't see Ornn much during the regular season, but then the second it hit playoffs, everyone brought it out because it's a reliable pick. So when you're having these best of ones where you can be a bit spicier, and if you lose one, you just learn the next time and then make up for it, so you still have a positive record on everyone. I think it's so. I'm gonna say at the very least, I'd give it a potential of a 30% pick rate.
Wow. I mean, I think it might be on the high side for me, but I mean, I could see some teams trying to pull it out, especially like Vietnam, maybe Japan. Who knows? We'll see what happens there.
Evi's not really been known as a Rengar player, so
yeah.
I really do think the main person, or the main team rather, that's going to play it is probably Vietnam, and even then I'm not sure on it because I'm going through Osmed's match history, who's the top laner for Fongvu Buffalo, or
Saigon Buffalo, I think.
Saigon Buffalo. Thinking back in 2019, Saigon Buffalo, and there's no Rengar history for him at all, but he has some very aggressive picks, which is why I think it may be in his wheelhouse.
Who's the top laner for Wildcats this year? Starscream is his name.
Starscream. Oh wow! Actually, I haven't seen him in a while either.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of these minor region players, you see them once, and you're like, "Oh, I'll never see them again for about 3 years."
Unless you're Holy Phoenix, that man does not die.
Yeah, Holy Phoenix, dude, that guy. I actually kind of like him. Just randomly, I think he's a fun player to watch, and I want the best for him. Yeah, looking at Starscreen, a lot of Tryndamere,
Silas top,
some Gragas, Renekton, Scion, Malphite. So an Aatrox, some Silas top. Silas top could be fun. I would not complain about Silas top if that was a reasonable thing. Okay, moving on to MSI in general. TMB, actually, thanks for putting in this chat. I want to actually read this. It was from an interview that Ashley Kang did with Impact. And I'll just kind of read the subtitles here. But basically, Impact, regarding the 35 ping restriction that's in place for MSI 2022, he says, football players, so like soccer, I guess, or maybe it could be American football, don't play with sandbags around their feet because an opponent team has bad feet and they need to make the game the same for everyone, right? Look, it's not a good viewing experience for the audience either. And the increased ping allows for more mistakes, creates a situation where the players might lose confidence in themselves. So Impact not in favor of the MSI ping kind of like leveling for everybody. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? So he's basically saying, hey, it's like putting sandbags on everyone's feet so that they're all slowed down. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this comparison? Do you think... I mean, Nox, do you think it's really... Does it change fundamentally the maybe the legitimacy of this MSI? Or I think the way Emily Rand has put it on like Rift Reaction, she said it makes it very difficult to compare it to previous MSIs because of the ping change. So I mean, what's your take on this?
I mean, no matter what, you're going to have an asterisk on this MSI because of the ping issue, right?
Right.
I think in this case, it's like a lowercase, like not there's a capital or lowercase asterisk per se, but pretend for a second that in this case, this would be like a lowercase asterisk. Whereas I think if you don't have the LPL competing there whatsoever, that's a major
big asterisk.
Like,
oh yeah,
no one's going to really respect this tournament because if you end up making a deep run, really the only competition was T1, right? Like,
yeah.
Which fair. And so I think what's frustrating for me is that now that Asia Games was delayed, like China could have come anyway, and we wouldn't even be having this whole debacle in the first place, which is very frustrating. B, I think it's also very frustrating that the only reason RNG did not want to come to Busan was because they would have been required to play in their quarantine hotel in the first couple weeks, like the first 2 weeks. And for me, that's very frustrating to hear because you have 16 other teams that you got to play. At most, you are playing 2 other teams from your quarantine hotel, and then you have another 14 that you're still playing on stage in China. I think personally, I think it's a little selfish from RNG's perspective to just say, sorry, we don't want to go to MSI unless you adhere to our needs. We don't want to do it. And it's very frustrating for me. So I guess from Riot's perspective, I think they did the best that they could because RNG's threatening to no, we don't want to go unless you do this for us. And this is the best solution they could come up with. So I'm not blaming Riot for it. If anything, I'm kind of peeved at the LPL and RNG just because I think the ultimate goal should always be performing live at international events because that is what is going to provide the best entertainment. It is going to be providing the best competition. And if you're not doing that, you are purposely hampering the scene. And at the end of the day, I do think it is on the responsibility of the teams to provide a good product to its viewers. And because you're not there, you are worsening the product. So it's just frustrating for me, and I think it should be frustrating for a lot of fans. And I actually don't think there's been enough criticism thrown towards RNG and the LPL in general for the decisions on this. I think there's been a little too much criticism thrown towards Riot, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difficulty is for Riot is it's like, okay, they don't want to deliver a substandard MSI with no LPL, and then kind of, they are caught between a rock and a hard place where it's like, okay, everyone's going to be like, wow, 35 ping, not a real MSI, and wow, no LPL, not a real MSI. It's like pick one. Would you rather have RNG playing, on slightly higher ping, or would you rather have no RNG at all? I mean, Curly, I think. I mean, how do you feel about, people blaming Riot versus blaming, the LPL and their, other commitments, And I think it's a difficult situation to comment on because it's like, okay, well, the COVID situation in China is, let's just say, not great. Yeah. And, not to, get political on Maine here, but, their COVID zero policy does not necessarily allow for a lot of freedom within their contexts. So I think Emily Rand talked about this on Riff Reaction today too. Can you tell I listened to both Diphori and Riff Reaction today? So it just makes it very difficult in these circumstances. So yeah, so Curly, I mean, how do you feel about this weirdness that we've got with the ping and everything?
I mean, in terms of who to blame for it, it's like, sure, it's like on the one hand, like maybe it's like, yeah, Riot, wow, what a good solution to a problem, or like, wow, LPL, way to create a problem. I do think you'd have to respect like the actual geopolitical like atmosphere around what's going on there, because organizations have to make decisions based on where they reside. And so I don't think it's entirely right to be like, oh, LPL, RNG, why are you like creating this whole thing saying I won't be there if I have to play this thing? Because like for them, I think if they were the only team playing on a higher ping, then I do think that ruins the integrity of it. But overall, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the whole bitching about, pardon my language, but I think the bitching about the 35 like ping is ridiculous from all aspects, because it's like people like if you look at regions like NA or EU, even people who are playing from like far on the East Coast can reach Challenger and be in the top of the leaderboard on like 50 ping or whatever. You can still be good at League of Legends without having 8 milliseconds of ping. Like, what to freaking do? Like, you're still gonna like, who cares? You're gonna show off how good you are anyway. It's just going to be very slightly different. And it's like, and so at this level of play, I don't think it ruins the competitive integrity at all, because it still has everyone playing this same type of game. Because like, and like Edgy Hoon said in chat, I think it's about the whole sandbag comparison is kind of silly, because it's like, that's what it is it isn't taking sandbags or anything like that. It's like saying, okay, one team has hand-me-down cleats and the other team has the best cleats in the league. This is giving everyone the same cleats. That's what it is. You're working with the same equipment, so you can truly just show off what your skills are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really think that the whole 35 ping is whatever, and like after this, everyone's gonna forget about it, because you're just gonna see, okay, who won MSI. I think it's just an unnecessary drama point, and everyone just let it be. All right,
I will say, I think if RNG wins, then no one will ever talk about the 35 ping again. And then I think even if they make it to finals, I don't think anyone would talk about 35 ping. If they somehow like crash and burn out, or like T1 crashes and burns out, and they're all like, yeah, it was because 35 ping, then there would be some, discussions about it. But when it comes down to it, 8 ping versus 35 ping, I think what's more important is A, mechanical talent, and, B, team synergy. And teams like T1 have that in spades, and, should still dominate this tournament. So RNG is actually a bit more of a, what's the word here? More of a cluster bomb, I guess. More, more of a, more interesting to analyze. Speaking of analyzing the teams and groups, let's get into that. So let's talk these groups, and we'll go over them pretty quickly. Let's start actually with reverse order. Let's hit the NA team, the NA group first. So
the most exciting group, you mean?
Yeah, why would
I actually disagree with that. I actually think Group A is the most interesting, which is why I'm doing.
Oh yeah, group in terms of like overall objective. Right. Yeah, Group A is more interesting.
All right, so Group C. So it's EG, G2, and the OS team order, and they're gonna play each other 4 times each. So 8 games for EG, 8 best of ones, which is a lot. I think EGG2 should obviously be the favorites to get out of this group. There's a question of who's 1 and who's 2. I think G2 is probably favored to be the 1. Not that it matters, really, because everyone still will, if you place top 2, you funnel into Rumble stage. It doesn't affect seeding or anything like that. But it would still maybe be interesting to see how that turns out for, what it previews for the rest of the tournament. I expect EG to take at least 1 game off of G2, if not 2. But I don't expect Order to really do much. I do actually. I agree with Travis Gafford said this today, and I agree with it. But EG is absolutely going to stomp G2 tomorrow. They're absolutely going to do it, and then when they play Order tomorrow, they're going to lose. Because I think they...
Please don't do that to me. No.
I think, actually, day 2, it's G2 EG as the first game, and then EG plays Order right after. So you're 100% going to see EG beat G2, and then lose to Order. It's almost, it's perfect. But yeah, I mean, I highly doubt you guys have any difference in opinions in terms of who's getting out of this group.
No, I think, honestly, what would be more fun to do is take a betting game on which of the 8 games Order will actually get a win in. Because I do not think they will go winless. I do think they will take a game.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. The OSH representative last year went 2-6. So, hypothetically speaking, they might go 2-6 again.
Here's the thing.
Difference there, though, is that was against Unicorns of Love.
Right.
LCL.
I know. It was a very different group.
Yeah, they barely got out of that group. 0-4 to RNG, and then 2-2 with UOL, and I would argue EG and G2 way better than Unicorns of Love.
For sure.
So I expect them to win 1 game, probably against EG. But I'm feeling like a 1-7 for Order. EG probably a solid 5-3, maybe something like that, and then G2 6-2, 7-1 basically. Curly. I mean, I don't know if you feel any differently. Like I said, I doubt it, but you never know.
I believe so. No, I do think that G2 and EG got out of it. I do think that EG is going to come out on top over G2, and I think that G2 is going to be the first one to drop a game to Order.
Very fair.
That's the T.
That's the T. All right, Group B. The Turkish team.
The most boring group.
This is such a boring group. The Turkish team: Istanbul Wildcats, PCS's PSG Talon, Brazil's Red Canids, and China's Royal Never Give Up. So it should be RNG in first, PSG in second, and then Turkey, Brazil fighting it out for bronze.
Continuing the tradition of Brazil versus Turkey, the longest rivalry amongst emerging regions.
I mean, I think
has been going on since season 3.
The only interesting thing in this group for me is the Turkey-Brazil rivalry. And also seeing how good PSG actually is. Because this isn't the PSG of old where they absolutely steamrolled their league all season long. This is actually a weaker looking PSG. And the PCS, usually a very top-heavy league, right? But when your number 1 team doesn't actually look that good, they dropped... I think their winners final series to whatever it was, CTBC Flying Oyster. Great name.
Flying Oyster.
Flying Oyster. I want that as my team name. And then had to, make it back through losers bracket. This team is not unbeatable in their own region, unlike previous years. So I'll be interested to see how PSG looks against RNG and how well they can beat up on the minor regions here. But I mean, for me, it should be RNG 1, PSG 2. Curly, I mean, how are you feeling about this group overall?
I'm going to not disagree. I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree wholeheartedly. Especially because this is a practically identical group stage for Group B from last year, where the only difference is they were against EU last year, instead of China, and so yeah, I don't expect there to be much different.
Yeah, totally. Knox, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on Turkey, Brazil? Who takes third place in this group?
Brazil.
I actually, man, I don't know. Brazil has historically not looked good the past couple of years, right? Except up until this past year. Brazil has started to look like they are improving over Turkey, so I'm just to continue with the trend. I actually think Brazil will probably finish ahead of Turkey on this one, but it is really up in the air.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Brazil third. Brazil third.
Okay, fair. All right, Group A. This is the group I'm hyped for because I think it's actually very, very interesting. You do have T1 in this group, probably the overall tournament favorite, right? So
that's just a lock for first, right?
That's just a lock for first. Team, I don't know how to say this. Is it Aze or A's? Team A's?
I've been saying A's.
Team A's is the Latin American team here. Not expected to, perform very well, probably fourth place. However, the battle for second is between Japan's Detonation Focus Me and Vietnam's Saigon Buffalo, and this is the matchup that's supremely interesting to me. Japan has steadily been leveling up at international tournaments over the last few years. Saigon Buffalo is not the number one Vietnamese team. They lost in the final to Gigabyte Marines, who are set to represent Vietnam at the Southeast Asian Games. So, now, I don't think this automatically, disqualifies Saigon Buffalo, as a not good team. I think they're probably still a pretty good team. But I think this might be, I think this is a really good shot for Japan to slide on into the Rumble stage. I think this is like a really good chance for them to get into that top 6. And I am firmly on the Japan hype train. Knox, I mean, how do you feel about this group? But I still feel it could go either way. But I'm definitely on the DFM train here.
I genuinely believe that I don't think A's is going to make it out, but I genuinely believe A's is going to be an upset for one of either DefM or Saigon. Like, I genuinely believe that. Like, I don't think this team is a dead lock for fourth. So I think it's honestly going to come down to which team drops a game to A's is what it's going to be. So I think, and if we're being honest here, I think that's more likely to be Detonation Focus Me than it is going to be Saigon Buffalo. I think it's probably going to end up being T1 in first with Saigon Buffalo second with Japan third, just because Japan's going to drop a game to A's. So that's kind of how my prediction is going. But I'm very, very excited to watch this group because, like you were saying, it is very, very close.
Yeah, for sure. Curly, I mean, how are you feeling? Yeah, I feel like everyone's talking DFM versus Saigon Buffalo. Where do you stand on this all-important subject?
I mean, I just want Utapon to get out of the group stage at some point. So I'm going to be riding the DFM hype train because I think it would be very exciting, particularly actually to see like Japan just against like PCS and EU, and because we didn't really get to see that last year at all. So I think that'd be pretty fun to see overall. But I don't know, like Saigon Buffalo, I feel like there's a huge like potential for them to just be like have this grandiose return. It's like Vietnam is finally back at international competition and they're gonna come in swinging. There's just something about that potential hype. So I'm ultimately unsure as to how it actually will turn out, but I'm still gonna put my I'm gonna be rooting more towards DFM,
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah, I think I'm rooting for DFM as well. How about overall tournament favorite for you guys? And if you say someone other than T1, I would be absolutely shocked. I mean, it's got to be... T1 just looks so good. And obviously the undefeated season, I mean, whatever asterisk you want to throw on that, but still an incredible accomplishment. I mean, I feel like they could just run through this tournament without breaking a sweat. They just... Faker and the Zoomers look so freaking good.
T1. I don't. It's just T1.
It's just T1.
It's just T1.
It's just T1.
There's nothing else to say. It's just
yeah.
T1. Unless Curly over here.
Curly's got the smile on his face. Get your papagas ready in the chat.
Get your ovens open. Here we go.
Yeah.
I just think it's gonna be RNG again.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean.
Okay.
Of all the other teams in this tournament, that is the only other team I would realistically consider.
But here's the thing. Here's where we get spicy. Here's where we get really spicy.
No. Are you gonna say T1 out in semis?
No matter who the finals is, it's gonna be against EG. Meaning, if it's RNG that's winning, that means T1's out in semis. I don't know, man.
Listener, the silence you are hearing is the palpable shock and awe that we have of this man willing to say such incredible things on a live broadcast. Let the listener understand. We do not endorse these takes. They are wholly independent of any Flight Check broadcast.
No,
but
do you want me to explain why? Do you want me to explain why?
This is the time. This is our show. So
I need to recall. So for the Rumble stage and like seeding for stage 3, is it first and second pick, like first picks and second doesn't, or is it first versus fourth, second versus third?
I would have to look at previous MSIs because I'm actually not sure.
Because I believe.
Curly, what was the question?
Okay. I think it's first versus fourth. Like, is it
Yes,
first
it's always 1 versus 4 every time.
So it's always 1 versus 4. Okay, so that might change things. But because if it's 1 versus 4, in that case, it's going to end up being T1 versus G2 in the upper and EG versus RNG in the semis. Meaning, if I'm saying EG is going to be in the finals,
they have to be RNG in the semis.
Yeah. T1 is inevitably going to be.
So what I'm hearing is you're predicting EG to either be out or they're winning MSI.
No. I don't predict EG is going to win MSI. I predict they're going to be in final.
So that they will beat RNG, but now they're going to lose to T1. Unless G2 beats them, because typically G2 has a good history against T1.
Do they? Do they really? Come on.
They do, actually. Like, go check the stats. They do.
I don't know. Because that does change things. But also, maybe the Rumble stage is spicy. Maybe RNG's on top. EG is in third place, so then it's T1. Or...
You know what? I'm hopping on the rice box train. Saigon Buffalo all the way, first place. It's happening. Send it.
We'll have to say, basically,
number
EG
one,
will
baby.
be in finals. RNG's going to win. One of those will be true.
Man.
One of those will be true.
Man, oh man. Well, I mean, you heard it here first. Certainly some takes were made on the show tonight.
Now, if it was a first picks situation, I would definitely think that T1 would pick RNG, and that would be their downfall. That was my original theory.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to get over it. Look, here's my thoughts on EG. I think here's the 5 teams expected to make it to Rumble stage, right? It's T1, RNG, EG, G2, and probably PSG Talent, right? And then number 6 is kind of up for grabs between Saigon, Buffalo, and DFM. People have their own different takes on it. Between PSG and that other, either Saigon or DFM, EG should be able to beat both of those teams.
Yeah.
And take games off of, G2, maybe a game off of RNG, who in a crazy situation take a game off of T1. Mm-hmm. EG should be expected to make top 4 at this tournament. I don't expect them to win. I don't expect them to make finals. But what I do want from this tournament for EG is Danny and JoJo getting great international experience, this team getting great international experience, and doing so in a way where they learn from the mistakes they will absolutely be making, the losses that they will definitely be taking, and using that to prepare for a likely Worlds appearance if all things hold true. And being able to come into Worlds and perform to a level that NA fans have been looking for some time now. So, EG top 4, in my opinion, is something that needs to happen. And I think is actually pretty realistic based on what we've seen. All right. Any other final MSI thoughts before we wrap up the show tonight? Or other thoughts? I mean, you know. Any other league? Oh, we've got a cat. We've got a cat on stream.
I mean, I guess the one thing is we would have to be wary of. It's like PSG Talon did it last year, where they snuck into third place over EU and NA. And we've got to be careful. Like, even though they are looking weaker, got to give them respect.
Yeah, for sure. Nox, any final MSI thoughts before we wrap up the show?
I think you pretty much nailed my thoughts on EG. I think hopefully they make top 4. They don't have to win that bracket stage, although I really, really hope they at least make it competitive, because I think historically NA, if they win a bracket or like a series game, they usually go on and get smashed in the next one, right?
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of just been historical consistency with the West in general, even with G2, right? So I really just hope if we lose, at least it's a competitive series. I hope they pull a FlyQuest. They at least take a game off, right?
Yeah.
So
well, I hope
we do that. I'll be happy.
I hope they get third in the Rumble stage, so that they have to play RNG and not T1, because I think that would be a much more winnable series than playing T1 would be. So,
agreed, for sure.
So there's that. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching the show this evening. I know we were away for a couple weeks, but great to see some familiar names in the chat, including a couple folks that we got to meet while we were in Houston. So that was really cool to put some faces to the names. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. Back to our international status for at least the next 3 to 4 weeks. We will be following MSI very closely over the next week, so be sure to follow us on Twitter for our reactions and thoughts on it. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise takes place, including our friend Roadroller posting all of his very tasty meals. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight/tomorrow morning. The audio version of this episode should go up on Spotify and all your favorite podcasting platforms sometime tomorrow or Wednesday. And if you're listening to that, or the VOD, and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode almost every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, any final notes or shout-outs or plugs? Whatever you want to say, it's your time before we wrap up tonight.
I'm going to say shout out to just, FlyQuest staff. They were very exciting and fun to meet when we were at LCS Finals. And also, shout out to Path to LCS. We continuously ran into them throughout the weekend at LCS Finals, and they were such cool people. Like, not only did they put on a good product, like when they're making LCS Academy happen and Proving Grounds and all that, but, like, they're just awesome dudes to hang out with when you're enjoying some League of Legends. So, like, shout out to them.
Very nice. Knox, how about you? Any shout-outs, plugs, things of that sort?
FlyQuest players and staff are slowly filtering into Korea right now. So keep an eye out for any all solo queue possibilities of who they are. Whenever I have the time, I'm not going to be all that dedicated to it, unfortunately, right now, because it is a very busy time of the year for me. But I will be doing my best to try and keep a track of solo queue dames and who's doing what and how everyone's doing on the ladder. And yeah, so I'll try and tweet those out if I ever get the chance. Outside of that, check out 100 Talk Pod. They've got a show coming up later tonight. Go support them as always, and that's about it.
Very nice. For my part, shout out to the Washington Capitals, who are heading into the third period of Game 4 against the Florida Panthers, and it's tied 1-1. If they win this game, they go up in the series 3-1. If they win the series, it would be a massive, massive upset. I don't think anyone really had them taking this series, so that would be really cool to see. One other shout out. These guys for putting together our LCS Finals vlog, which you can go see on our YouTube channel. 20 minutes of, almost exactly 20 minutes of excellent behind-the-scenes content from our weekend in Houston. I really enjoyed watching it, seeing what they were able to put together. So thanks, Knox, for putting together all the clips, Curly for doing some editing as well.
Reconstruction of Pension.
Doing the whole thing again, basically.
Yeah, some complete reconstruction of Knox's editing, and it was just super cool to see that. So, with all that said, we'll be back next week to talk about how MSI is going. So for now, please stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.